Would raising America's cybersecurity contributions to NATO be beneficial to more than just other countries involved? While heightening our defense may seem like a safer route, draining our country's finances, time, and trust are just a few key consequences that would come with doing so. The money for NATO's cyber defense must come from somewhere, but there are negative repercussions that come with higher funding. Recruiting, training, and transportation of new employees has a time cost on top of what it takes to install these higher defenses, which might not be as efficient as we think. If we keep improving our cyber defenses increasingly, other countries included in NATO might not see it in that tone. These are just a few, but not limited to drawbacks that come with increasing America's artificial intelligence, biotech, and cybersecurity. Federal tax money, while it does supply multiple key building blocks of society, can only be stretched amongst so many necessary resources. Currently, defense takes up 20% of funds, leaving 80% to be distributed to 10 other categories. Education, being one of them, only receives about 2%, let alone other things like science research, transportation, and veteran resources, all receiving 1 to 8% of federal tax money. Increasing defense by another slight 20% would cut education supply in half, as well as deducting vast amounts of money from things that affect our country a little bit more directly. According to the National Security Agency, entry level for many cybersecurity positions means 11 years of schooling and experience costing hundreds of thousands of dollars, usually out of the student's pocket. The cost of schooling is slowly increasing, costing more money to go into prepping for the position than what will actually be paid back. Putting students in debt for a career that is constantly changing is pointless and unreasonable for the supposed demand that is put into cybersecurity. Huge improvements like upgrading cybersecurity take an immense amount of time to accomplish. Hiring more staff would be required, which sounds great, but to do so, new employees would have to have a minimum of 11 years of experience, which is unreasonable if changes are wanted soon. A recent SCIS survey of IT decision makers across 8 countries found that 82% of employers report a shortage of cybersecurity skills, and 71% believe this talent gap causes direct and measurable damage to their organizations. It may be a guaranteed career, but starting that career at least a decade after schooling is started is absurd and could even be discouraging to future security workers. It is known that America has the top cybersecurity, but it has taken 74 years to get where we are today. Who is to say it wouldn't take another 100 years just to improve by 20%? One security project takes at least a year to accomplish, but in comparison to how fast enemies improve and attack, 1 or more years could be completely detrimental to the country's security. Technology is always evolving, but to do so in a way that does not completely throw away all the progress that we've made so far would take way too long and be too complicated. Maintaining a healthy relationship with our fellow members of NATO is essential to its purpose and reason for being created. Establishing a more dominant role in the total amount of defense being tapped into by the countries involved in NATO could be perceived as aggressive and threatening to others. Common war tactics involve making drastic improvements both in secrecy and out in the open, which is exactly what adding more cybersecurity could be classified as. It could be taken out of context even by countries outside of NATO and come off as threatening war or conflict. Every country included in NATO has to some percent a contribution to the amount of cybersecurity overall. The NATO Computer Incident Response Capability, based at Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe in Mons, Belgium, protects NATO's own network through round-the-clock cyber defense support and provides support to every country included in NATO. The NCIRC is also part of a larger organization known as the NATO Communications and Information Agency, which supports NATO operations, connects NATO's information and communication system, and defends NATO's networks. There is already a large number of non-U.S. cyber defenses happening simultaneously to that of the U.S., which every country has access to because of corporations like these. Higher cyber defense in terms of NATO sounds beneficial, but after looking at underlying factors, it does not prove to be so. Cost, time, and sense of community could be on the line if we heighten our involvement with NATO's cybersecurity. A lot could be and would be affected both negatively and positively, but the latter proves to be overpowered by its opposite.